Next, let us look at the preparation of salts. A salt is a substance formed when one or more hydrogen ions of an acid is being replaced by a metallic ion or an ammonium ion. Okay, so for example, the salt over here, sodium chloride, it has the cation of your hydroxide here, as well as the anion of your acid over here. So in order to prepare salts, we have to note whether it's soluble or insoluble before we can choose the method to prepare it. For soluble salts, any compound that contains group 1, ammonium or nitrate, they will be soluble. Any compounds that contains chloride, they are soluble except for silver chloride and lead 2 chloride. Any compounds that contain sulfate, they are soluble except for barium sulfate, lead 2 sulfate, and calcium sulfate. Any compounds that contain iodides, they are soluble except for silver iodide and lead 2 iodide. And lastly, any compounds that contains carbonate, they are mostly not soluble except for ammonium carbonate, sodium carbonate, and potassium carbonate. Okay, next let us look at the methods used to prepare the salts. Okay, we refer to this table, mind map over here. If the salt that is produced is not soluble, based on the table previously that we were looking at, we should be using the precipitation method. Precipitation method will involve mixing the solutions of 2 soluble salts. So let's look at an example at the bottom. If you want to prepare silver chloride, from the table we can tell that it is not soluble. So therefore, your 2 reagents to prepare it must be soluble. So what we can do is, we can mix silver with nitrate, because from the previous table, silver nitrate is soluble, and your chloride can come in the form of hydrochloric acid or any of the group 1 chloride, sodium chloride or potassium chloride. Okay, so once you get your salt, what we can do next is you filter the mixture to obtain the insoluble salt as the residue. Then you wash the residue with distilled water and dry between filter paper. Okay, that's how you get an insoluble salt. If the salt is soluble, we go down the group. If it is a group 1 or ammonium salt, then we have to use the titration method. So let's look at the bottom. For the titration method, it has to involve mixing an acid and an alkaline, or an acid and a soluble carbonate. Okay, so example, we have potassium sulfate. Potassium sulfate is a soluble salt and it's a group 1 salt. So therefore, we have to use the titration method. So we have to mix potassium hydroxide, which is an alkaline, as well as sulfuric acid, which is the acid part, in order to get your potassium sulfate. Okay, so so how do we even do this titration method? These are the steps to follow. First, you prepare a fixed volume of the alkaline into a conical flask. Then you need to add the indicator into the alkaline in the flask. The indicator is very important because it will show the color change when the salt is being formed. Okay. Next, you put the acid in the burette, and then you titrate the alkaline with the acid until the reaction is completed, and you record the volume of the acid used. Now that we know the volume of the acid used, we should repeat titration now without the indicator, because you don't want to contaminate your salt. Then you can, once you get your salt, you can heat, cool, and crystallize it, filter, wash, and dry between filter paper. Okay. If the salt is soluble and is not group 1 or ammonium salt, we move down the table. We shall use the solid acid reaction. Okay, solid acid reaction means you have to react a solid with the acid together in order to get your soluble salt. So we look at an example at the bottom. We can include insoluble carbonate, which is a solid, as well as an acid together. We can just put the metal alone and the acid, because metal is a solid. We can also put the insoluble base as the solid with the acid. Okay, so an example, if you want to prepare zinc chloride. So zinc chloride is a soluble salt. So you can mix zinc carbonate, which is a solid, together with the hydrochloric acid. Okay, similarly, you can just put the zinc as a metal alone with the hydrochloric acid. Okay, but you note that for this type of method, we cannot use it for copper, silver, and gold because they will not react with acid. So what we should do is we should make copper into the carbonate form or the oxide form. Okay, if it's the insoluble base form, so if you, same thing, you want to get zinc chloride, you can make zinc oxide, the insoluble base, which is a solid, as well as hydrochloric acid. So what is the method used to get this solid acid reaction? First, we add the excess of the solid into the acid until no more reaction. Then you filter away to remove the excess solid. What's left over is your soluble salt. So you can just heat, cool, and crystallize it. Then filter, wash, and dry between filter paper. Okay? So that's how you get your soluble salt.